everyone. This is Dan with the Spiritual Underground Podcast, coming to you on a Sunday night. Coming off the energy of a retreat that I have the honor to host. This was the 7th SPURT retreat. Come up with that acronym from SPURT. It's an acronym for Spiritual Underground Retreat. I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but I like it, and it's stuck, and that's what it is today. Last year, since starting this podcast, I took my podcasting gear down there and had folks sit down and share a little, speak a little on what they were experiencing, and patched that all together into an episode last year as we came home. I had intentions of doing it this year, but the energy was just so strong and the juice was just so thick down there that I frankly didn't get around to it. And I took very few pictures. That's actually a good thing. That meant I was fully present down there. How this whole thing come about, and you've probably heard it, but I'll tell you again, is that in 2015, when I first come into my current sobriety date, my home group was having a day retreat. They were going out to a local forestry a little south of Louisville, and at that time I was on home incarceration, and it was outside the county limits of where I was allowed to go. I was a little bummed about that. They had a great time, and there was a little talk afterwards about the fact that there was a little bit of a lack of privacy in a public area, and had some people walk up on them, which wasn't a huge deal, but still it takes away from what we like, the opposite spectrum of what we did this weekend. And I got to thinking, I have this place out in the country, and it would be perfect for that. I was frankly a little frightened to even mention it at first, and I didn't think anybody would want to come, and I didn't think, I thought it'd be too far out in the boonies, no electricity, no water. But I brought it up with my sponsor at some point, and he thought it was a great idea. So in May of 2016, I hosted the first one. It was a complete success. It was a blast. I was 16 months sober, and hosting a men's retreat. I don't know how that happens. It was so much fun. We did it again in the fall, and that was SPURT 2, and I did it in the spring of 17 and the fall of 17, so that was 3 and 4. The 2 a year started to be a little bit much, and I really can't remember exactly what happened in 19. Was SPURT 5. No, get my timeline messed up. As I say so many times, you'd think by now I'd learn to start keeping track a little bit, because now I know I'm telling this story. I said, if I knew I was going to be telling this story, I'd kept better track. Well, by golly, I know I'm going to be telling this story, and I still fail to keep track. So let's start over. Don't matter. Way too much detail. I'll do it anyway. 2016 in the spring was 1, fall was 2, 17 was 3 and 4, 18 was 5 there. I just decided for whatever reason to back off and do it once a year starting in 18. In 19 we had 6. I had considered doing a fall one in 19, but I was doing a deer hunt by then. That's what we did in 18 and 19. And I remember in 18 was when I went to yoga teacher training, and then the fall was just seemed to be a little bit too much to be trying to do both of those things. You go to yoga teacher training, it is a consuming piece of your life for a little period of time. And I kind of substituted out when we did the first deer hunt down there of sober deer hunt. So we did that in 19. So this spring was SPURT 7. which blows my mind. I make these little wooden tokens and do this little thing, and I'm going to have some guys come in and on Wednesday night we're going to share a little, since I didn't tape around at the actual event. but some of the guys are going to come over and we're going to talk about it. But I want to do this little intro with this energy that's coming off of it. One of the things you can hear is my voice is blown out. We did some primal screaming, some roaring, warrior yells, quite a few. And besides that, I talk a lot during it. If you can imagine that, I talk a lot. And my voice is shot tonight, but that's part of the juice wrapped around this. That's a good thing. I spend quite a bit of energy in preparing these retreats, but at the same time I allow it to happen rather than overthink it. Topics and a theme for the weekend and those kind of things just always develop. I've got friends, Shane's been on here a bunch of times. He won't hear me talking about him. I am going to be a little bit careful about names because I'm not too sure. And we all have nicknames too, so we can run by these pseudonyms, but that seems a little funny too. Shane runs a Friday night meditation meeting for me down there. We did some yoga and meditation on Saturday morning. Put together a pretty in-depth lead presentation almost on Saturday, kind of an opening ceremony, and I guess between Friday, Saturday noonish, Saturday night, Sunday, that's for sitting down actually doing work type meetings where we share and we sit down with a purpose. And we're down there to have some fun and all that, but we're also down there to do work on ourselves, grow these connections and bond with our brothers. And what I was saying about the opposite side of things, and something else I'm learning to do at a deeper level, is create a safe place for people to be, a safe, sacred, tight container where what gets talked about down there doesn't go anywhere. We're going to share about it in a general way, but any real work that a man did down there will not be discussed. I suppose if a guy comes in Wednesday and he wants to share a little bit about his own work, that's okay, but we're not going to talk about other man's work. But it was just a blast, not probably. I don't know why I say probably, because sometimes the newness can kind of skew the old events. I've had some pretty powerful experiences in recovery. But I'm going to say right now that this past weekend was the most powerful experience I've had. I knew all the men fairly well. We all knew each other fairly well. Not real close. We had a fair swath of time in recovery. But not a lot. Nobody had a lot. I think one guy's approaching 6, so I think 5 years is the most anybody in the group had. So we were into the under a year guys to 5, and I think that tightened things up a little bit because there wasn't like a big kind of can get a little bit of a hierarchy feeling going on. It's nothing on purpose, and the guys I hang around with that's got a lot of years don't put that energy off. But it's kind of hard if you're young in recovery to be around somebody that's got a whole lot of years, and not feel a little less than. Let's just use that term. So I think that evened it out. There's a lot of stuff, this whole COVID thing going on. There's a lot of people didn't come to it, and I did invitation only this year too, keeping it small. I also looked at limits on how many people were going to be actually camping in the cabin. Quite a few men purposely tent camped and that kind of thing, just to kind of keep the distance thing down. But while we were there, we really didn't worry about it too much, man. We hugged, we stayed close to one another. We did what we needed to do down there, and I think that was plenty safe. It was a bunch of healthy young men. So between that low curve on the recovery time, the whole pent up like cabin fever thing going on with the pandemic, and leaving that energy, I ask the men that come to leave that energy at the gate. Anything that doesn't help them work this weekend, smudge in, and we use that sage to cleanse us of the energy that we're not going to need this weekend. And obviously the pandemic is not energy that was going to be useful to us this weekend. So every man did a great job of that. Every man showed up. And I mean really showed up. Sometimes there's some times when I've had these things where people come, and this is okay, I'm not knocking that. Just a difference is that people will come and they will kind of like making a showing at the family Thanksgiving event, or I'm gonna just go to the reception for an hour or so, wedding reception, that kind of energy. They're just gonna make a showing and be a part of it, and that is not what was going on this weekend. The men that showed up at this event this weekend was there to be there, and they were there to. We did have a little bit of some guys not being able to come until a little bit later. We weren't able to arrive and leave at the same time. I'm seriously thinking about changing that. I'm thinking about in future years, in order to create that level of power that having this weekend, I think it would be important that we said, commit to the entire thing or not. I know that might sound a little weird, but I'm big on commitment and accountability. And if there's a big element in showing up for yourself in life. And if you can't carve out a weekend with adequate notice to bug out and go do something like this, that may be something you need to look at. And I think you owe it to yourself to be able to do that. I'm fortunate in that I am able to do those kind of things pretty much at will. I understand that not everybody's family situations and things like that allow that. But I'm really thinking about next year doing it kind of an all or nothing thing, and you show up at whatever time I'm going to pick, and you need to be there by then, and you're going to stay to the end and close this out. So when we come in the door, we create this safe and tight container, and we keep it closed until everybody's leaving, and we open the container and free it and scoot on back home. I always hang around for a couple hours afterwards. One of the things is I'll just say this, guys say, what can I do to help? And this came one time not long ago, a couple of years ago, and a guy asked me that, and I can be a bit of a sarcastic smartass. Anybody knows me knows that, and I can also hold just a straight face and look at you just as dead serious and tell you whatever I want to tell you. That's like an old skill. I try not to abuse that today, but guys that know me know that about me, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, the easiest way for you to help me, best way you can help me, is to pack your shit and get the fuck out of here. The reason I say that, and he laughed and he said, okay, man, and because I need everybody to scoot and get their gear out and vacate the premises with their belongings and whatnot, and then I can actually get to cleaning the joint up and straightening it up and putting stuff away and doing that. Otherwise, I'm wrestling around everybody else's stuff and we're bumping into each other trying to do that. And but this year I invite a couple men, some guys have been coming back and they're starting, when I first started doing this, people had a hard time helping me. And I had a hard time accepting the help too. But like when I ask you to put something away and then I got to show you where to put it, that's just not a lot of help. But when they come after a few years and start realizing and knowing where to put stuff and where things go and how to help me, then we can. And that's another thing about this year's event, this particular fall, is that every year I get a little better accepting help. So we had a fella that come down and cooked and coordinated all the food and brought it. Another fella paid for all the food. Like I said, I asked these men to facilitate for me. Shane facilitated Friday night meeting. I did Saturday. Saturday's mine. And Sunday morning, the dog man did facilitated a very powerful meeting for the group. I was going to say for me, but it's not for me. It's for the group. But point being, I'm able to accept that help, and so a few guys hang around and help me to a certain extent, and then they bug out, and then I'm by myself for a little bit, and man, I sit there after everything's gone, we beat the grass down. We stomped. It rained a lot. We stomped a moat around the fire ring. The ashes in the fire ring are definitely deeper than when we arrived, because we keep a campfire going all weekend. And just waves of gratitude that I get to do this, that I get to invite men down and host. It just, my theme this weekend was not hiding your, half of my theme this weekend was not hiding your gold. And my gold is that I'm good at this. That God, higher power, the universe has gifted me with a way to touch people, and as I shared down there this weekend, and I really feel like it's a disservice to the universe to not do that. If I would not do this, not use my gifts, that would be me missing the mark. So I get to do that, and man, I am in touch with the divine, the universe. I'm on point when I'm down there. It's fun. It's a blast. We laugh. We stay busy. We do work. We play also. Got a little pond down there, like about a 1 acre pond. I think it's a little shy of that. Swim and fish and trails and woods, and it's just fun. It's just fun. Fun, powerful. And work gets done. And the thing about this year that was different than any other year, as I said, the guys that come by just to hang out for a little bit and boogie or whatever, is that every man who said he was going to show up this year showed up. Now, I did have like a Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday cancellation for a guy that was going to do that, just come down for Saturday thing. It's interesting that he did not. And I think it's a really good thing that he did not, because it maintained that continuity and that safe container rather than somebody coming in the container and then leaving. It maintained that. So every man that came down there to show up for himself, and every man was impacted, and I saw it in their eyes. I felt it in their being. They shared that with me. They were impacted. They had a shift in their being this weekend. And having been a part of that, moves me like very few things. Sponsoring folks through the 12 steps is a ton of juice, and it is a cornerstone of my life today. Some more gold. That's the 7th men's retreat I've hosted down there. I just cranked over 5 years sobriety. That trips me out. I've done 15 fifth steps in that cabin with men and women. And this is me not hiding my gold. I also know that this is not me. This is this hooking into this power that brought me from the depths of where I was to where I am today. And without that power and without the 12-step foundation under me, I know simply and plainly, with no reservation, that this would not be available to me today. So 7 men's retreats down there, 15 fifth steps. The energy down there is just crazy. It's just awesome. It is we say it's a sacred place, and it is a sacred place. It's a sacred place to me before what all that work was. It meant a ton to me then, but I didn't quite anchor down and understand what that meant like I understand what it means today. My dad said some words about, I showed him the pictures of us down there, and I was showing him pictures of one of the past years. And he said that right there is what that place was built for. I really can't say much. I really can't add much to that. Had no idea what God was doing when He built that cabin 20 years ago. It's just fantastic. The energy's completely. I've shared before. When I was building that, when my dad and I and my brother Neil was building that cabin, we did. I drank beer from. I used to have a thing where I'd like to say I'm going to wait till noon or whatever, but frankly, rarely did I ever do that. And a place was built on beer and dope. And the energy is a completely different energy down there today. And don't get me wrong, man, building that cabin was a huge, big thing in my life, too. I mean, it was an awesome experience of my dad, brother, and I putting that together. 3 months we had that from a spot in the woods to a weather-tight log cabin. That's phenomenal in itself. The blessings that I look back on before I hit recovery blow me away. And that's an interesting thing, it just is interesting. I'm not going to speculate on it. So I've been rambling on for 20 minutes, and I want to have time for this podcast and not be really, really long. So when I add these other guys, it's going to come by Wednesday night and talk a little bit and add their part in it. And maybe I'll try to shut up a little bit more during that period so that they get to tell what they need to tell. We'll be right back with those dudes. By the time you hear this is Sunday night. I'm coming home off of that SPURT 7 juice. Men's lives are changed today because of this weekend. And every man there had a part in that. Because if any piece would have been missing, it wouldn't have been what it was. Can't take full credit by any means. It was certainly a wee deal. Love y'all. Thank y'all for allowing me to participate in my recovery this weekend the way I did. Thank you for allowing me to participate in my recovery by sharing these stories with you. Humbles me. Peace out. Hey, this is Dan back again. I know I just was talking to you, but I told you what was going to happen. That we was going to have some guys in here in just a little bit. We were going to share a little juice off of this past weekend. I think it's important to do that. Just want to do anything I can do to carry this message in whatever way that higher power leads me to do. And a lot of times that's through this podcast. So we just had a fantastic weekend.
Understatement.
Yeah, it is an understatement. Yeah, it is. It's hard to say. So Marshall's here with me, Shane and Don. Say hi, Marshall.
Hi, Marshall.
Say hi, Shane.
Hi, Shane.
Say hi, Don.
I think you forgot his name.
You didn't pick up on the pattern.
You gave them instructions. I need instructions as well. Hell, I'm not even good at that.
He's an alcoholic for sure.
Yeah, I won't even follow the implied instructions.
Yeah, right.
So these guys are in here, and we're going to juice a little bit and share a little on these guys' experience on what happened this weekend. As I said, my little lead-in, it's just it really was the most powerful weekend I think I've ever been involved in. And that's saying something, because I had some pretty powerful weekends in mankind experiences and in recovery in general, and in yoga teacher training and various other things I've been involved in, and the other retreats, really, the other retreats too. And that's not to take away from any of those other things, because they were all fantastic too. I guess it falls into the category when I say I smell more. Well, yep, there it was. No wonder I smelled it, right? It was right around the corner. I don't know where to go with that. I'm just going to throw a jump ball up in the air, and we will just this was your second time, Marshall. You got invited last year by accident, if you believe in accidents, because you weren't even really a part of the group yet. You were just wading into the spiritual underground.
Yes.
And his sponsor, Mark, which you all have heard his story, sent me an email about the podcast, and one thing led to another, and I invited them to come on down. I wasn't sure that they would really do it, and again, it's one of them lead things. I didn't, most of the time when I invite people to come down there, I know them.
So you were essentially a stranger walking into the woods with them.
Yeah.
I'd seen you a couple times at a couple meetings, I think.
I've been to a few meetings, but not many. I mean, maybe a month's worth, maybe 4 or 5.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I wasn't so sure that I wanted to make it out there into those woods either. I was getting a
Even
little.
the first time?
Yeah, the first time. No, the second time I was ready to go, But the first time, that was pretty scary.
But even this second time, you had some thinking to do about, I don't know that because of the current conditions and the COVID and all that. So, I mean,
yes.
raring to go in one regard, but also had a little reservations of if it was something that you should be doing or not.
There was a decision that had to be made, and I had to weigh a lot of data and come to a decision. And yeah, absolutely right. But once that decision was made, there wasn't any waffling. It was like, okay, I'm down, let's go. So yeah. But the first time, that was, I guess I had a few more than 4 meetings because I picked up my 9th month token wood chip while I was there at SPURT last year. So and I think I showed up at the Spiritual Underground meetings somewhere around like February, March, maybe. So I'm not real sure. What do you always say about the timeline?
I knew I was going to be telling this story. I'd have kept better track.
Yeah.
I even said that in my little lead up in here tonight. I'm like, you know what? I actually know I'm going to be telling this damn story now, and I still ain't keeping track.
All right. Yeah. So I don't. I do know. I know it's 9 months, or I picked up the 9-month token at SPURT last year because I've got the evidence.
Yep.
So other than that, I'm not sure about. But I know that it was also tough to get there that first time. We heard about the person who didn't make it past the orange barrel that time, and it could have very well been me. But I was with somebody else. That was Mark, and we were both leaning on each other. We were just like,
Being somebody else will get you in there.
I talked to him later on, and he was thinking the same things that I was, and we were both, neither one of us were going to back out,
Didn't want to chicken out.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other one.
Yeah, right. So he was trying to be a leader for me, and I didn't want to be
It's one of the reasons why I try to get people carpool. I mean, it's a secondary thing, but hell, I've been in situations in my life where I turned around at the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Last year should have been my first. This was actually my first. I was actually at the very end of my marriage, unbeknownst to me at the time last year, and I was one of the ones that found an excuse and didn't go.
Last minute, too, pretty much, wasn't
It was very last minute. It happened. I can't undo it. There is some sort of ashamedness in it, but I can't undo that.
There's always this year too is the first time that there was somebody who was just going to come down on Saturday that decided not to, but always have had a number of cancellations in the last week or two. It's happened every time, and this year there weren't any.
With the current conditions, the COVID crap this year, when you made the decision and hey, we're going, I was 100% in from then. And I'd seen the pictures previously of the people meeting here at your house, getting ready to caravan. And I remember distinctly from last year being there like, man, I should be there. I've got this ball and chain that's holding me back, and I should be there. I wanted to be there. I didn't have the balls to make that decision to do something for myself when I should have.
Yeah,
so
you can
when
lay
the
at the feet of that
opportunity-
ball and chain, but that is all on you.
Yeah, it
Not
was
her.
me. I was too scared to do something for me.
Yep.
And when you said yes, there was no hesitation, no backing out for me. Like, I don't want to say I would have came with COVID, but at the same time, nothing would have stopped me from coming down there.
Yeah. I've been a little.
I do not have COVID.
Sick. That'd be a different story.
Yeah.
So it's Dawn's first time. Shane, you've been to most of them.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if it was the first two. Maybe you missed on.
I think the first 2 or 3. Well, this was 7, right?
This was 7.
I've
So
been
the
to
first
4
two
of
were
them.
in 2016.
Okay. Yeah, I got
May of
sober
2016,
October
October
16.
16.
Yeah, so I was at 3 or I came to the third one.
And then-
I know I remember I was so juiced about coming and I couldn't wait because all the guys that I'd looked up to were going, and including you, and I wanted to spend time with you all and get to know you better, and I knew that would be a way to do that. I could see the connection you all had, and I was trying to get in there. I wanted what y'all had, so went after it.
This year was off the charts, man, and I felt it as everybody rolled up, even car by car, and of course the energy sitting even before we even left. And there was some most time I even have to stop and get some gas and ice and stuff on the way down, and I was ready when I didn't need to stop and get anything. I was completely ready prior to the night before, basically.
Me too.
And that's a first for that too. I'm usually, I'm not a guy that waits to the last minute to pack, but I usually have a few little nickel dime things I need to do on the way. And it's kind of gotten to the point, I just kind of get used to that going down there all the time anyway, that you just get some stuff on the way. But it makes it a little bit, I didn't want to lose any time this weekend stopping for things.
Yeah, I get that.
So what's somebody spill some juice? Talk about what was your experience? What landed on you?
I honestly, going into it, had no idea what to expect, what to happen. You had mentioned that we would be smudged in, and I didn't even know what that process was until it was happening.
Sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah.
So, first off, I know everybody in the group before we got there, so there was a certain level of trust. But as the weekend progressed, starting from, hey, let's all stop, let's do this, add somebody to the mix, thus the smudging process, we were a snowball rolling downhill that just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And yes, we had a bit of an itinerary, somewhat of a schedule, but it was very fluid to a degree. And I'm glad that I was just open for whatever was coming, because a whole lot did.
We pretty much stayed on schedule too, to my thing. Pretty much.
It was never a busy or a hectic or anything like that. Everything just rolled so smoothly. Previously, you've said there's been a lot of guys there, and it was relatively small, this group. I think you and I talked about that, maybe playing into how things went off without a hitch.
Yeah, it was basically half as many as last year, and I don't want to use that word, but that made it easier in a lot of regards.
I've talked to several people about just being down there in general. So you turn on the old roads, it's the gravel road, and your phone stops working. There is something about going into the woods out there when the phones don't work that allows us to all be 100% present. If you go to an AA meeting or any function for that matter, everybody's continually...
How to eat.
Yeah, you're constantly checking your phone nowadays. Mm-hmm. There's constantly that distraction. And down there was none of that. Like, the first night we set up until 2:30 in the morning talking like teenagers, mm-hmm. just laughing and having a good time, and not a single cell phone come out. There wasn't even to take pictures. There wasn't very many pictures from this weekend because we were so present in the weekend, and it's priceless to be able to do that. Priceless.
Yeah, I like that insulation cushion of the phones. I like that the phones don't work down there, and I really think if sooner or later the cell service will end up drifting, it'll get good enough that there are no hiding places left, or very fewer and fewer. I assume that someday it's going to get down in there, and when it does, I'm going to start boxing up the phones on the way in.
Damn right.
Good decision. Happily hand it over.
Yeah.
It's funny you said, talking about the smudging in, because both of my new guys, their first times coming, they both thought, what's this? I got some questions. What's this smudging thing, and what's actually going to happen while we're there? Oh, yeah.
Saw it on the agenda?
Yeah, when they saw it on the agenda, and I was telling them it's a cool little process that we do just to get everybody involved, and it was cool to see how this year it progressed even further than it ever has, because we had the MKP, we had yoga, we had meditation, we had AA, we had TSSR. So it was like 5 different things combined into one weekend, instead of just one set thing, which was really cool because it was a variety of different things. I learned more about each one of them, and it was.
The part of my I smell more part of thing goes with, I know for me, I'm going to get bored with something after a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I burn out.
Mm-hmm.
I go down a rabbit hole with some author or whatever, and I'm like totally invested, and then I'm, okay, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
And I would do that if I didn't have something more to add to it. So that variety, and and a lot of the dudes who were down there hadn't been exposed to some of that stuff too, and so it was brand new stuff for some people.
Yeah.
And maybe not everything was brand new to you. Maybe you'd done some yoga before, but not mankind, or maybe vice versa, or
right, not all of them at once.
Yeah.
We all came together and met through recovery, to a degree that men's retreat is based around recovery.
It is a recovery retreat, just like this is a recovery podcast.
But when it came down to it, a very small portion was talking about drugs and alcohol on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
It was all guys wanting to be better guys. And that's what this weekend was about to me. I don't know if I talked about drugs and alcohol at all.
Yeah.
It was all about just what's going on inside of me. How can I be better for my family, for myself, for people around me? Just being a better dude, so to speak.
That you say it on here all the time, that definition of recovery, that to reclaim that which was lost or stolen. The term recovery was assigned to the drug and alcohol thing. It never was, that was invented. That was associated somehow or another, I think, to take some stigma off of that you're a damn drunk or a drug addict.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
But so that's why I kind of leaned it a little bit different. That's what most of us are doing. There was a few people down there that were new. I'm trying to wrestle around.
One
There's
thing
really nobody like seriously like in the grips.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing we didn't do is we usually see who had the least amount of time,
and
we usually did
countdown.
That. Yeah, we did the countdown. We didn't do that this time.
Yeah,
but
and we were pretty tight, like
you
said before. I don't think it got on the air, but one guy's getting ready to celebrate 6, and I'm working on my 6th, and that was the most. That was the most biggest duration down there.
Yeah, and I got 3.5. And then everybody else is under that.
Previous years we had, we had Christopher down there with 30 something, and and some people down there in the middle teens, and I think that's another reason. And I don't, I wouldn't do that on purpose at any level, but I think that tightened. I used it in my things that it flattened the curve. To use a term that's getting tossed around all the time, that we were a little tighter because there wasn't anybody like way up on the scale.
Right.
And not that that's a bad thing, but there is some energy when there's some. I would like to think that I've moved past it to some extent, but certainly when I was in my first few years of sobriety, when somebody had a lot of time, man, I was a little intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't be able to like be myself kind of thing really because of that.
Right.
And so that energy's just there, and I think that allowed, because there wasn't such a wide swath of people's duration in recovery, it compacted that and allowed some people to be vulnerable quicker, where they may not have been had there been some so-called elders hanging around.
Yeah, it was cool because I was looking around and I noticed that. I was like, man, I watched almost every one of these guys come in.
It's a bunch of damn newcomers.
Yeah, and it's not even that.
Including me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you were 2 years when I first came in.
5 years, but even now, though.
Yeah. I want to stay a newcomer.
We're all relatively early.
Mm-hmm.
There were a bunch under a year, and there were a bunch first time at spurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually do the countdown, but I know as far as that went. But there was at some point I looked around, and it was a quick 6 that were new. And there may have been more than that. Mm-hmm. First timers, I like that. There's something I like about people who come down there for the first time because they don't know what to expect at all. And and I get to do my one little trick too. It doesn't work as good in the daytime.
I know
It works
it,
a lot
right?
better at night. And don't say it on
Yeah,
there. 'Cause I
yeah,
don't
we're
want
not.
people to hear it.
Yep.
But it doesn't have near the effect
That it usually did.
in
yeah.
the dark or in the light as it does in the dark. But it was just way too late. We run our meeting. So you're quiet, Marshall.
I love that point that that y'all were just talking about, how that weekend wasn't about anything about drugs or alcohol. It was, and recovery really doesn't even hit it either. It's growth. It's expanding. It's the more, and that's why I was there. That's why I'm here right now. This group of guys that we have, we're all wanting the more. And what a fantastic way to do it. Down there, like you say, no cell phones, and just in touch with nature. That's where we got to do it. When we first walked in and got smudged, and then like I guess I want to say a grounding ceremony as well with the cleansing. Somebody like hits your feet. It's like, look, let's get grounded. Let's get some roots. Let's get our foundations, and then help, and let's build from there. And down there, when you meditate, and instead of hearing off in whatever distance an air conditioner or a car or a car door or a freeway, I'm good, or a freeway or something, you're hearing these birds, the wind through the leaves,
The woodpeckers.
Yeah, the woodpeckers. That's the notice that you got 20 more seconds left on your meditation is the woodpecker after he does 3.
That was perfect.
Right before we left, as we were wrapping up, I said, hey, can we please take just a minute and just pause, because it's about to get real noisy again. The hustle and bustle of leaving and then joining the real world again. And it was very much selfish of me to want that, but it's something special. You can't get that here. When we sat here and prayed just a second ago, before this started, you hear the fan, you hear a car, you hear all these city noises that aren't out there. There's nothing. You don't even hear an airplane go every once in a while. And that absence of everything is just wild.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet down there.
And that woodpecker ended, like you said, that it did 3 pecks, and at the third peck, that was like a minute exactly, it seemed like. I was like, what?
There's also something that happens down there. It was Friday night. All of us were there Friday, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the meeting, and we expected some rain here and there throughout the weekend. And as that meeting was drawn to a close, it started sprinkling a little bit, but the shares were still going. And instead of having this jump and run to the cabin, jump and run to wherever we're going to do to not get wet, nobody flinched. And there was no looking at each other. There was no like, what do we do? No freak out in the eyes. Everybody just sat there. And we all had a good laugh about it afterwards, because it was that group conscious, group mind, without even thinking about it. It just happened. We're going to sit here and hear what this guy has to say.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Oh, yeah.
And as the weekend progressed, those goosebumps got more and more and more.
Yeah.
And it was, God, I can't wait to the next one.
I can't.
Yeah,
It's like how many
it
days
sets
till
a hard,
Christmas.
it sets a high bar at some level. It's like, man, I don't know
How we
to-
could top that.
Yeah, I don't know. Because frankly, it did. Like last year, there were so many people that it did lose its intimacy.
Yeah, there was 32 last year, wasn't there?
Yeah. And on the Saturday night meeting, and I made the Saturday night meeting because I do require everyone to participate.
That was a
So
long one.
you
We had to
don't
take
get
a
have
break.
back row.
It was 18 and a half hours.
You don't get to sit in the back row.
Right. And there was a big circle, too.
Yep. And we don't really put time limits on the shares and stuff. Most of us do a pretty decent job of staying relatively tight with our shares and stuff. I like the way that, and it's something that I had forgotten that what Dogman said about, like try not to wrap too much story around this. I certainly have a problem with that. Now, it works well for this medium because that's what this is for.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're sitting around sharing, we can do a lot of storytelling around our deal.
Not get to
We
the
can
point.
like set it up, and I'm going to explain to you I'm gonna lay this whole thing out in front of you to show you why I did this fucked up thing. You know, it's almost like excuse building. It's like, you know,
Right.
I'm gonna pave this road for you so you can understand better about why I feel this way. You know, and it's a little of a cop out when you start talking about that's a way that, you know, that's a dancing around instead of just going, I punched her in the nose, you know.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Well, see, you know, a few weeks ago, she and then you know, so now she deserved it.
Yeah.
You know? And now that's all just bullshit because that's not what happened. I'm just storylining at the extreme end of things about like how we can build a story around what we're doing. And to tighten that down a little bit, and let's just get to the nuts and bolts of it, right? I like that, but that I think the 15 to 20 is about the right number, you know, and then that stuff about coming in there. I think all that I love, you know, for whatever reason, and I don't know how it come about, but when I do the steps in like a ceremonial way. When I take somebody through the work, I build some drama around things on purpose. It's not drama in the way that people think about the, you know, the drama that everybody, I hate drama. That's not what I mean. I mean, like the ceremony and the theater almost around it to make it something special, right? And I think it imparts a lot more power in the step work, you know. And I'm learning to do that down there. And part of that is that, and it's, you know, some of it is ceremonial, but some of it's, you know, that like that smudging in and coming in there and setting the stage, you know. And you've like, you know, you stood there, and you know, all that stuff that can be seen as prayer. You know, I'm praying over you with a smudge stick, asking the universe to help you drop this stuff that you're not going to need this weekend, whatever that is. See, I don't even want to put on like leave the negative behind, because maybe I need to come in here and that's what I need to work on this weekend. So maybe I can't leave my negative at the gate. You know, that's what my work is.
Need to bring it on
weekend.
in here, yeah.
And so whatever that is that I'm not going to need this weekend, let me leave that behind and let the sage smoke cleanse me of that, so that I'm more, you know, I'm getting myself in a position where I'm prepared to do what I'm here to do this weekend, you know. And it's similar to like a lot of that I think comes from the Native American customs to some, at least in my understanding, is that like when like the initiation from a boy to manhood, you know, they would do these ritual kind of things like that, you know, where they'd smoke you, and even, you know, you'd have maybe a period of isolation that you had to sit by yourself for a while, you know. Well, what's that look like, right?
Meditation,
right? You know, so, you know, and so we don't have any of that in our society today. You know, I don't know. Did you all? I didn't go through any kind of that kind of initiation as growing up.
Not at all.
Being knighted from boy to man, and I like that. You know, and I think that's kind of what we're doing in a sense now as adults. That's somewhat metaphorical to what we're doing like this weekend when we come in here and we initiate everyone into the group as they come in. You know, and the first thing we did once we got settled in was the group that came together was smudge in and begin to build that safe and tight container, so that we established it, right? And then now, and it's there. You know, like Dave said, we create a big energy field around our area of operations.
Yep.
And then as another man comes in, we bring them into the container in that same method. And everybody did that, you know, and that, I just love it.
Yeah, there wasn't one person that even said, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, what?
Never. You know, that was the cool part, too. Nobody even doubted it. They just did it.
Okay.
They've never done it before, but they just did it anyway.
You're going to do to me, but
yeah,
okay.
let's do this. I want to be part of.
You know, coming in and trusting that you're going to be taken care of. You know, that that you're safe, because that's part of that too. You know, is bringing that in there to establish that safe energy zone.
What was the when we smudged? Then we went around and had a one-word tag. What was that called?
Check-in.
A check-in.
Yeah.
So like it was, one guy said he was in pain. He hurt, I believe was the word he used. I said elated. So what word did you use when we first got there?
I'm excited.
Excited.
Yeah.
And over that weekend, some of those words changed a little bit, and you could tell that people were peeling back layers in with just that one tag, one word that they were using.
Yep.
I liked that.
Yep. That's part of that,
That is
not
cool.
putting the big story around it, you know.
Yeah, just one word.
I can sit here and tell you about Elated for 20 minutes if you want me to.
Yeah.
You know, but do I really need to? That one word usually
Does it?
And I said emotional the second time. I remember that because I was feeling all kinds of emotions, and they're like, "Well, which emotion?" And the only thing I could think of was joy, you know, because I was really joyful. But I mean, I was on the verge of tears and just, but it was happy tears, you know. It was like, I don't know, I couldn't explain my emotion besides joy, you know.
Yeah, and that is what, you know, that's some of that same work is like, you know, that's kind of, so, and I'm wondering about how far to step, but I'll just go ahead. It gets into that same kind of energy that you found when we was having a Saturday night meeting, when somebody would leave something really vague, like, you know, I'm going to do better. Well, what's that mean exactly? You know, I'm emotional. Well, which of the, are you happy, sad, mad, glad? You know, what emotion are you, right? And so, like, you start to drill down into what that, because that, you know, that allows me to stay on the surface. Mm-hmm. And it also allows me not to make any real commitment.
Right.
You know, when I'm saying,
We had a facilitator.
I'm just going to work harder at my recovery. Well,
How?
what are you going to do to work harder?
Yeah.
You know, give me something. Give me something actionable.
When,
you know,
what date are you going to be done with this by?
What
Are you
time?
going to?
Yeah. What time? Yeah.
A week.
I'm
Instead of
gonna
business
make a-
week.
I'm gonna-
7 days, 5
I'm gonna
days.
I like that one.
I'm going to make a commitment to meditate every day. You know, something concrete that you can say, okay, here, I'm going to actually say in front of these men that I'm going to start doing this. And one of the things that wasn't talked about a whole lot this weekend, but I did work on it with one guy a little bit who committed to getting done with his step work by a certain date. You know, to hold him accountable to that and give him some support around that.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of willingness in him.
Yeah, me
He
too.
wants this program. He wants to be better. And it was very exciting to see that.
Yeah. The work we did was really interesting too. I could feel the energy in that. That was pretty cool. Being part of that was awesome.
I really like that action steps that, you know, they were asking for and calling for, the specifics.
Yeah, because we say that around here, right? This is a program of action.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do better.
Yeah, I'm gonna do better, right? So I didn't avow it that night or that, but that on the way home with Mark, I said, hey, I want to make a commitment here, and he called me on the way here. He's like, you know, he texted me the other day, and I was like, I'm 2 for 2, and because I said that I was going to, I'll say it here. That I was going to meditate and pray for 5 minutes before I leave the house every day. Now, that doesn't mean that's all I'm going to do for the day. Hopefully, you know, I'll do more. But at least before I leave, that I'll do that. And he texted me a day ago or yesterday, and I said, I'm 2 for 2. He called me today. He said, how are we? I said, well, I'm 2 for 3. I screwed up, you know, but and I said, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. You know, because before I've said that. I don't know how many times I've said that. Hey, I want to do better at my meditation and prayer. I want to get into a routine, and I've said it over and over and over, and I've failed over and over and over. I keep doing the same thing. I'm not doing anything different. This is an action item that I can do something different. I asked for some accountability, and I've got it. And now he just made me feel a little bad, you know. Got my ego hurt a little bit. I screwed up. I don't like screwing up in front of my sponsor. So it stung a little bit. And now I don't like that. It's going to stick with me for a little bit more. And in the morning, I want to make sure that that's the first thing that I do, at least tomorrow morning, probably a few mornings, you know, and hopefully eventually it will become a habit for me that I do 5 minutes before I leave the house, you know, and that's just the beginning of my day. I want to start my day off like that every day.
You know, we'll jump in real quick on that because that's what, so when we also talk about like, are you in account? And that's some of the stuff when we talked about some of the processes and stuff, you know. So instead of not being, like to change some of the language, you know, and that's something that I've been taught to do somehow or another through here, you know, my whole get to, you know, that same thing, that language change, you know, rather than I screwed up, is that I'm out of account with myself, you know, because I mean, we beat ourselves up so long, you know, and I know it's a language change thing and it really doesn't mean much, but that's where I want to be. You know, I want to be accountable to you. And I also want, because if I'm not accountable to myself, that's really where it hurts, right? When I'm not doing what I know I need to be doing or whatever, and I'm out of account with myself, then I start getting pretty twisted up, and that's where that will hurt me. You know, because then I start getting out of account with myself. I start getting out of account with you too, and down that road. So I like that, you know, and I just wanted to catch that because, you know, that's the kind of things that just roll through me from some of the things I've been taught lately, and then when some of the things we brought there that we could only really touch on a little of it, is that instead I screwed up, man. I'm out of account with myself, and we do that kind of work in the MKP thing. You know, is anybody out of account? Mm-hmm. That you want to talk about? Remember when we said, you know, is there any energy we need to clear? Is everybody clear with every other man here in this circle? Mm-hmm. So go ahead. I didn't mean, but I wanted to catch that screw up thing because I would rather hear that kind of language, you know, because you know what I mean. It's a little self-defeating.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and these are just
because you didn't screw up.
These are small course corrections that I'm trying to make because, you know, I've not patting myself on the back or anything, but I'm doing a lot better than I was 2 years ago.
Yep.
You know, and I just have to make small course corrections.
And that's
now.
the energy that keeps that momentum thing going. You know, because if I go back into like I'm a fuck up mode, you know, that's a 180 turn from the direction I'm wanting to head. Right.
Yeah. And my one word when I first got there was enthused. You know, and then whenever I checked in a little bit later, it was hard to find the word because at that point I was feeling, and if you come up with a word, I guess I was charging is what my word I think I came up with, is because I feel like if you consider your phone has a 1 to 10 charge level, I was, you know, throughout the year I've been pretty heavy, you know, close around 10, but now I'm down around 7 or 8 or something like that. But I want to be at a 10, you know, as much as I can. So this retreat was putting me this stuff, these, you know, God shots, boom, one after another, and you know, it's just like I'm like, whoa, I am reared up, I'm ready to go, man. I'm almost full tilt now. So that charge thing, and that's what I'm saying. You know, even if I get down to 9.5, if I've got the opportunity to kick it back up to 10, that's what I want to do, and that's what this prayer and meditation would do for me. I said it over the weekend, and everybody's heard this. If you work it, it works if you work it, you know? And I think we all know that. But we lose our mindfulness and our drive. For what reasons? We don't know. We're human, you know? And we're imperfect. And we can't change that. But we can still make these course corrections when we notice it. We can stay mindful however we can, you know? So that's what I'm reaching for. And these little things like you just brought up. Being in account, you know, and holding yourself accountable, and you know, instead of, you know, and even the language that we use, you know, because once you get these big things fixed, you know, well, I'm not, you know, falling down drunk anymore. I'm not, you know, smoking, you know, pounds of weed. I'm not doing all the other stuff and you know, all the illegal stuff. Anyway,
are you open for a suggestion on the meditation part?
Oh, yeah, from you? Yeah, cool. Absolutely. I mean, you know, do I need my notebook? Let me get my notebook.
No, it's pretty simple, man. You know,
listen to this over and over.
Yeah, right.
You know, a closed door can't be opened without action. So what made me think about that was I was having trouble getting into my meditation routine, and I wanted to change it. So what I did, do you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom at all?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't. All right. So one way I thought I could change my routine was I would drink a lot of water before I went to bed. So that would force me to get out of my bed in the middle of the night to go use the restroom. And while I was up, I might as well do my meditation now. If I just set an alarm, I could push snooze, you know what I'm saying? But if I got pee, I can't stop that, you know? So I would always, I would drink a lot of water right before I went to bed. I'd wake up almost at the same time every night, too. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And when I got done urinating, I'd sit down in lotus position, and I'd do 15 minutes of meditation. And at that time of night, it is very, very quiet. And you're not thinking about a lot of stuff because you're halfway asleep already. And you can go, you believe it or not, you can go right back to sleep afterwards. Try that out.
That's great, and I will. And I'm getting goosebumps right
Cheers.
now because the reason that I wake up at night is because the dog wants to go out. The dog is a little older, so he's doing that. But
right.
My dog is when I do, it was with the first time I meditated for a huge a benefit to myself when I had some anxiety. And I think it was on this podcast that I said this before, but not this podcast. But anyway, I was sitting in the kitchen floor with that dog, while he was eating, and I meditated. And that's the first time that I realized what a great tool meditation was. So, and I'll do that from time to time, but I've never crossed my mind to do it while I'm waiting for him. And I get upset sometimes, that I've woke up in the middle of the night to let him out. That's a great piece of advice, and I'll try that.
So you said dog, and it made me remember one of the first meditations I did at 3 a.m. was one of the most powerful ones, and it brought up a childhood memory that I had totally forgotten about, that I had buried, and it was a dream about a flying dog that would fly through my window every night, and it would bite me on my hand and scare me to death. Okay, so this night I'd gotten up and I sat down on the floor. And it was the most it was just right here in my ear, of a vicious dog, just right here against. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps on this side only right now because I could feel it still. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, it's the flying dog. And I just put my arm up and put it around it and started petting it like I was petting it. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. There's no use for it anymore. And it went away. And it was one of the coolest moments I ever had in meditation. And then the next night I was doing another one, and as soon as I sat down, my dog crawled out from underneath my bed and licked me on my face. I was like, it threw me off because she never gets out from underneath the bed ever. Like, she's there all night. That's her little den. She does not get out. But she got out, licked me on my face, and then dove right back underneath. That was the only reason. She just like it was okay. It was really cool, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Try it.
I will.
That's how you dive deeper, man. You get in that conscious space to where you're not thinking about nothing for real, you know what I mean? Because nothing's going on right now besides you're going to the bathroom, going back to bed, So, yeah.
Yeah. Who brought that up, that space, that razor thin edge?
Travis.
Mm-hmm. That's what got me going, man.
Yeah.
That I got you. Yeah, look, man, I love this stuff, man.
Yeah.
We stay so hyped up here in this stuff. But that was one of the things that really lit my fire, was that razor thin spot that he was talking about being, and y'all know what he's going through and everything, and that's just, it was just huge for me to hear him say that, and it just lit me up, man. We push each other in this program, and well, in this group that we're in our home group, and I love it. You say it. And you said it a long time ago, and I heard you say it. I heard you loud and clear. If you don't have the best home group, then you need to find it. If you don't have the best sponsor, you need to find it.
So I have the best home group in the entire universe. And if you don't think yours is, keep looking.
Yeah. And I didn't, so I found it. And it just happened to be the same one that yours is, and I'm glad it was.
You show it as far as you drive to make that meeting. Mm-hmm. That's you have a big commitment to even drive as far as you do to it. So that speaks volumes to me.
Mm-hmm. Go to any length. I used to think I needed to go. There was a period of time where I went to meetings the closest 3 that was close to my house.
Me too. I would not cross to Louisville.
Just didn't make sense, Mm-hmm. Like, why would I go? I go to the closest grocery store to my house.
Right. Why not the closest meeting? Yeah. I was thinking, why don't we go around the table and say the most juiciest thing that happened to each other this week, if we haven't kind of already done that, but the most juiciest part of the whole weekend for you, what touched you the most? Because I know what my moment was, and I'll speak on that, but I was kind of just throwing it out there and not take up the mic the whole time too. But
I had 2 things that really stood out to me. One was the Saturday night meeting, and so many times I'll go to a meeting and people will start sharing. There's a lead or a topic that everybody's going to work on. In my mind, I'm half concocting what I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. So by the time I get the balls to raise my hand or get called on or whatever it may be, I've already got this story that's the foundation's laid, and I'm just going to build it, and that's what I'm going to talk about. The way that meeting took place, again, my first time, I had no idea how that was going to work. You draw one out of the bucket. And somehow, some way, I think everybody was able to get the first thing that what was actually going on inside. There was no time to prepare. You read that, you read what your card says, and then there's like a holy shit second. Like, what am I going to do with this? I can't talk about that. And then it just starts happening. So like that type of meeting was something I had never experienced before. I really, really liked that. So thank you for that experience. The second part that really stands out to me was the whole process of the Sunday meeting, because it wasn't a meeting like any meeting I've ever gone to. That was mankind stuff, correct? Hell, I don't even know how to describe that meeting. I truly don't. There was just so many levels to it, so many. I think that's even a word he used. Were there levels or rounds?
Yeah, you really can't put. Yeah, they're rounds. We do have, and that's part of the mankind philosophy and the process they have, that we do these certain rounds of work, and he kind of walked us through short form of some of those and hit on a couple of them a little deeper.
We would write things down, and I wasn't going to share that with anybody, so I wrote down what I actually felt and meant. And then he says, now read the second part. And I'm like, wait, what? I got to read this? And I'm like, well, crap.
If you'd have told me that, I'd have wrote something different.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I definitely wrote something
Exactly
different.
the point.
Yep.
And getting up, being accountable, being able to be accountable because of what we've created in that space. We smudged at the beginning of that one. I don't know, the whole weekend was just out of this world. Nothing could have prepared me for it, and yet at the same time, I was completely willing to do it. So, I don't know, the style of Saturday, and then the style of Sunday just really hit home.
You know, when you were talking about pulling the coin out of the bucket, it wasn't it crazy how each one, it seemed like was for you, like it chose you. You didn't choose it, and that's what I always loved about that one.
The bucket is delivered from the first time, and I don't know, I was trying to, when I first started thinking about doing this, I was trying to find some way to amp it up and make it creative and have it fun. And do something different, and this little woodworking thing. And by then I'd been making these, tokens for people that were disc shaped, looked like a coin. And I'd carve in whatever year it was, and it looked like a regular old, just a big wooden coin. And so it hit me to like make littler ones to commemorate the thing. And it just developed completely organically, and I've since found out that there's other people who've been doing the draw out of the bucket topic thing, but at the time I truly had not heard of it.
That's cool.
And so I'm big on. Marshall here is a big crystal guy and energies, and so is Shane too. But Marshall really probably studies it as much as anybody I know, as far as digging into the depths of it. But and we were talking the other day. That stuff is like earth material, right? And so is wood. And that's my thing, is the wood. So I always find, I tie a little tag on it that says what the proper spiritual properties of the wood tokens are this year, and then I write that topic on the back of them, and I just let that come. And every year the bucket delivers, man.
Well, I told you
it does every single time.
I told you afterwards I was in this mood to just talk, where you said you didn't necessarily want to talk. I started calling people. I called BMO. I called my dad, and it's just one of those things. Like my dad and I don't.
After the retreat.
Yeah, after the retreat. This was Sunday evening. I got on the phone, called my dad for whatever reason, and him and I don't talk on the phone. And it ended up being like this 30-minute conversation where I just couldn't shut up. I was just blah, 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 blah. And one of the big things I talked about was that Saturday that it took us completely out of our comfort zone and made us improv right from the fucking heart. And I can't wait to do that again. That type of meeting, the complete improv, complete deep down inside, just flow. And gosh, I keep wanting to say thank you, but and I
full of
could
gratitude
say it over and over and over and over, and it just won't do justice.
That's another part of the meeting that I love it forces everybody to participate, and then you don't let them Dan doesn't let anybody go into a corner and hide and whatever. That's not going to do any good for you. I mean, it's all about growth, and I love that part about that. That's some of my favorite meetings to go to is when somebody, it's your turn. What are you going to say? I mean, you got to say something, even if it's, I pass. You got to open your mouth and say something. And sometimes you're going to end up saying something that you didn't think you was going to say. It took me a long time. I don't know about all you guys, but it took me a long time before I opened up and said anything, before I shared anything. It took me a long time to get to a meeting, But once I did open up my mouth and start talking, I started saying more than I thought I was going to say, first off. But then I noticed after I did that and on my way home, man, there was a difference. I could feel it. And I was like, whoa. Man, that's something. Yeah. I was like, and then I started understanding that, hey, I think I just paid $1 for one hell of a therapy session, and then you get that. And so that's just something that it forces that. And that's great. It's a fantastic thing, you get with the safe place and whatever, and people start feeling that, understanding that, and then all of a sudden they have to pull that, and they have to use that honesty that Don's talking about, that honesty right off the bat, because you don't have time to make anything up. You're like, oh yeah. So it hits you right in your gut, and then it just has to spill out.
We've made that safe. We've done that thing where we've stood together, and we've created that safe space together, arm in arm. Not like I took you over there and smudged you in.
Right.
Over behind a tree someplace by ourselves. We come together and do that. As many people as around, whoever's at the camp, who's ever there
and watch.
Everybody circles up, and we bring that. So then, I think by the time like Saturday night rolls around, your shields are down. You didn't need them. You don't need them. It ain't even a conscious effort to put them down. They just fell off sometime during the day or whatever. And when that token pulls out, man, you just go, blah.
But before you do, every single person, I watched every person look at that card the first time. And there's that, like, you sit back and say, whoa.
Yeah.
I like it when somebody says, well, I really don't have much to say about this. And it's like, and then you're like, would you shut up? Enough already. Juicy moment?
For
me.
me.
Think of maximum. The big one or whatever.
Oh, well.
I can't really do that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the whole thing about, if you make me pull, do one, it was like.
Yeah, we're going to make you do one.
Well, it was Travis. Hearing Travis's, and I like leaned back in my mind and I think of the first time I saw him and heard him, what he said then and what he said this weekend. And I'm like, wow. And then it's just creates the guide shots through me, somebody else that I didn't have any part of, but I witnessed it. And I see that happen for him. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I hone in on one of those things that he said that fits me perfect. He's saying, I'm in a razor's edge of a slice of life that I want to stay there. And I'm like, yeah, me too, man. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And we got to do that work to stay right there. And he's doing the things that he has to do that. And I feel like I am as well. And I just want to keep on doing that thing. But on top of that, it's just everybody doing that. Everybody doing those same things.
I thought you were just going to go to number 2.
Somebody doing those. Yeah, it's kind of.
I'm the only one that doesn't follow instructions here.
Somebody, somebody, he was the main thing that kicked that. But just like Don was saying, people that are picking up, the token that is asking the question that they need to answer, and that then oh wow, I can't believe this happened, and over, I can't believe this happened. This is happening, and we see that over and over. If you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, if you're living your life, right way or in the right direction, all of a sudden things start falling into place, and it's like, man, this isn't making any sense, but man, I'm glad it's happening. I can't believe that this happened, and that happened, and that happened. These are all falling into place. So just seeing that happen, that as a whole, I guess, that it's the whole thing. For my thing that I picked out, I made the joke of saying, you know,
Tell
what's
us
your
about your favorite crystal?
Yeah, what's your favorite crystal, and tell us all about it.
That was hilarious.
And then I, you know, flipped it over the card and said what, and read what it said, and it said, you know, what do you do to let your inner child out to play?
It was. I was like, oh man, that was a god shot for me. I was like, oh wow, that was picked just for him.
I give my inner child the credit card and tell him to go into the crystal store,
Right.
and pick out whatever feels good for him. You know.
Lean in a little, Marshall.
Lean in, Marshall. Photo session. Dan, what's yours?
The moment that hit me the hardest, you know, and it was just juice out after juice shot, and you know, we say don't hide our gold. That was my kind of theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the moment of rolling in the place, man, and the joy that I get moment by fucking moment by moment, because, you know, I created the damn thing. Now, in harness with my higher power and all that, this is not Dan, really. I always preface that.
Right.
That in and of myself, this don't happen. And I'm still staying apart from it in some kind of... And I've shared about this a time or two. You know, I'll make something like out of wood, and I'll step back from it like that right here.
Yeah, that's the
This ohm
badass.
symbol. I will make this ohm symbol, and I look at it, and I get done with it, and I go, that's fucking badass, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like separated from me now, because I don't feel like I made it. And like, I mean, like the details all there, right? I don't know what I would do to make it any better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get done with something else like that, some other piece of something, and I do that. And it's the same kind of feeling at this, you know, because I feel like I didn't do it in a way. You know, I feel like I'm standing there amongst it, but I'm not really. And I know that, you know, I invited everybody. It is my place, and I built that cabin. But there's a detachment thing from it where you're like a fly on the wall kind of feeling. That's just really odd. So like the juice from the beginning to the end of it, when I come down on Sunday, you know, and I didn't come down for a couple more days, but when I come down, it's really, really heavy. Like when it's over. And but my very juiciest moment, the time when my all the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and was simply when we circled up Saturday night after the meeting, arm in arm, and looked around in the eyes at each other, and I saw in, you know, the windows of the soul kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and look into everybody's eyes, and saw that, like that kind of that smile, you know, wasn't a big smile, it was that knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Look what we just did.
Yeah, that kind of thing, where we're all in together. We're all truly bonded as one. You know, if a bullet would have flown in the room, any man would have jumped in front of the bullet for any other man in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment of that togetherness and connectedness right there at that fleeting moment was probably the thing that is anchored in my mind deeper than any other moment of the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that in you. I saw that moment in you, and I knew that was going to be your moment, man, because just the look in your eyes was just like, man, this is it. This is so awesome. This is beautiful, you know, and I just knew that was going to be your moment, man.
Yeah, those little phrases, you know, like in that book, it says, he will help you create the fellowship you crave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
So mine was also with Travis, and it started with the smudging him in, and I got really freaking emotional. I started crying while I was smudging him in. I couldn't even talk almost, you know. And I was, because I'd seen this dude come in and out for a while before he finally started to get it this time, and I never even spoke to the guy before that day that he did finally come in and was ready, but because his energy was just so off and negative, I was like, I don't want to go near that dude, you know. It was just that put off-ish, you know. And
I could see that.
yeah, and so
I didn't really meet him until he had become willing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so when that happened, and then we did the exercise to where we stared in another man's eyes for how many minutes was that, Dan? Was it? I don't even know how many minutes. I'd say 3 to 5, something like that. Yeah.
A little longer than I wanted to.
Yeah. right? Comfortably, yeah. I mean,
That's what I mean. And that's part of it, is to do it a little longer than is comfortable.
Yeah, because
Because then it breaks through this other side where it is comfortable. You got to go over that little hump. There's a little
you
hump
go
there.
through different emotions through it. Because I came to tears several times and then got myself back and then back to tears. And, you know, it was crazy. But the whole time I felt
eye gazing.
I felt so connected to him, and I have had a connection with him since he did really come in and commit this time, and I just have this connection with him. But I was just telling him all the things I thought about him through my mind, you know, and just telling him how proud I was of him, and, you know, keep going, man, you got this, you're fucking awesome, you know, kind of stuff. But in the same sense, I was also saying it to myself, and I felt that through his soul. You know, through another man's soul. And that was fucking awesome, dude. And I just felt my higher power, you know. I just know that was my higher power there, too. And it was just, yeah, very connected to every fucking thing. Yeah, that was a cool-ass moment for me. And then for him to say what I thought, and when he explained it, man, I was like, I got the biggest goosebumps. I couldn't stop, man. It was like, oh my God, this is nuts. You know, I just love that kind of God shot, man. It's really cool because we're all connected in some way, you know. And how far do you want to feel that connection, you know? And I think we can dive deeper into that, and I'm trying to go as deep as I can.
The gazing thing, I did like. I like that we only did it the once. I mean, technically, we did it again on Sunday briefly. I got Travis on that time, so I got to see those same eyes. And wow. But that's neither here nor there. You had talked about doing that at a yoga thing, I believe.
Last year.
And you said you did it with everybody. I like that it was just the one intense, long one. It gave... I'm assuming it would have been nice to do that to everybody. I think there would have been something neat there. But the fact that there was one and the alignment of the people, that wasn't us doing it. It's just there was no strategy to where we sat, or I'm going to sit by you because I'm going to be doing this. It's just...
I didn't even let you pair up with who you wanted to, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I did in a sense, but I mean, I said, okay, you and you and you and you.
The guy next to you. Yeah.
It happened how it was supposed to happen, and it was
Rather than
intense.
pick a guy, you know, where you go, oh, you over there.
Yeah, because I had one sponsor, Paul, on my right, and then Travis on my left. I was hoping I didn't get Paul because me and Paul already have like a connection. I wanted him to connect with another guy, you know what I'm saying, and get some more connection. And that's his whole purpose of coming, was to connect more with you all, which was cool, and he did. He got a lot from it.
One thing about the weekend itself is, yes, we had all these meetings and specific times where things were going on, but there was enough flex time in there.
Free time
Where we would wander off. Well, how many conversations did you have in that free time that are just out of this world?
But you don't have on a bar stool.
No, not at all. I had one with Ross out at the lake right before you caught the big fish, the first one, and we were one of the meetings we were talking about what moment really hit you, and I was torn between that moment with Ross and the one I shared about from the front porch. And there were so many of those just moments of, again, being present, that just, God, I wish we were going back this weekend.
I hear you. Charlie spoke on that too, about when we were all sitting up at the lake, and I was sitting on the dock, just laid out in the sun. It rained pretty much the whole time we were there, kind of, but it got
every Saturday through the day.
Yeah, blue skies. It was
There was
beautiful
certainly a
out.
threat of
Warm
rain
sun.
all the time, except for those hours throughout the middle of the day on Saturday.
Yeah, and we were out there just living it up, laying in the sun. He's like, man, this day couldn't be any more perfect. And I forgot my word I said, but he spoke on it later. He's like, that moment was the moment, you know. Everything was just perfect. It couldn't be any more perfect, and we were just sitting there laying in the sun, you know.
Nope.
Didn't want for nothing. It was cool.
It's an awful comfortable place, period. You know, I mean, just like when you and I are down there, when we're the number of times, and you know, and I could be down there. I mean, I am perfectly okay there by myself for days on end. I make a point to spend a week there every fall by myself primarily, and I love that. I love to be down there by myself, with no kind of, you know, because I don't care what you're doing. If some other being is with you, you've got a little bit of like a, what do you want to do?
A pull, yeah.
You know, okay, do you want to do this next? Do you want to, you know, or in a little bit of a I guess it's cooperative, but it's also an appeasing thing and whatever, you know. But when you're down there by yourself, you can just, you know, it's just whatever the fuck I want to do, right? Whatever's next, I get to pick the time. So it's just like it runs a gamut down there from that standpoint. But it just has an energy that just is so comfortable. It's just so relaxing. There's a lightness there. I think it's that Ghost falls right with that. And, you know, this is a little woo-woo kind of stuff, man. But I think it's been created by the energy, the residual energy we've left behind down there over various trips and fifth steps and other recovery events and different things that we're doing down there. That the energy down there is like a kind of like the rocks in the grandfather thing. You know, it leaves that residual energy behind from the previous work that's been done there.
I was going to ask you, what did you do with them?
It's a secret.
No, it's not.
Hey, and that energy, I think it's worth pointing out. You know, I've just started getting into, you know, looking at these things. But, you know, I keep going back to the Henry Ford quote. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You know, this was a sacred space down there because why? And you've brought that up several times because we said it was. You know, and we
speak it into existence.
Exactly, and we created that, and you know, the mind is an unbelievably powerful thing.
You know, I mean, I spoke this building into existence.
Hey, I believe it, because you could definitely speak it out of existence, right? So why can't it go both ways?
It goes into that changing our language thing. That's why that's so powerful to me about like why I don't want to use I screwed up. You know, so like what I want, because I can't really have that both ways, right? I can't say we spoke that place into a sacred space, and then don't think I'm gonna have an impact on myself when I call myself a screw up.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't have both sides of that cake, and so
that's a great point.
And so yeah,
point taken too.
And I don't mean to beat it, but I do mean, and I don't mean to beat it on you specifically at any level. I mean, this is, and you know, I don't know where I have no idea where fucking shit comes from. I bring a lot of stuff into my being from listening to people and stuff. You know, the Jordan Petersons and Russell Brands and other, you know, tons of Joe Rogan podcast guests that some of them are better than others. But it is, I really feel in my heart that it's the truth. It's bared out in the lives of the people around me, you know, and listen to people's language. Listen to where the tone and the language they use, and then register them on a scale and go, okay, does that sound like something that is an upward moving language, or is that a pulling down language? And then look at them and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about, you know, mining your gold and what it is, and your woodworking and crystals and things like that. Mine's my poetry, and I have not dove into that yet. But I'm putting an intention towards that to start using about a half hour to an hour every day to try to focus more on it and do something about it. Because Monday I sent that picture of the God shots that I had. I don't know.
I saw that.
Yeah. Man, I got the biggest God shot while I was in the gym working out. I was just so juiced up after the weekend and everything. And some words started floating around in my head. And I haven't wrote a poem in a while. And I was like, oh, man, here it comes. You know. So when I got home, I started writing some things out. But there was just a few lines that came. But there's something coming that was sparked from this weekend. And the title of it is BMO. But it's got a double edge on it. BMO, be more. But that's definitely the title, and it's coming. So I can't wait to put that into fruition and make it real. You know, it's there. And I'm excited about it. I just can't get it out yet. So I'm working on that. It's gonna be cool. Yeah.
That is cool, man. And fall back into another podium mode. You know, I think that's another cornerstone of where you can measure somebody. Is what are they doing with their creative selves? Because I think it's a measure of where you're at spiritually, and again on that what trajectory you're on. People that have some people that are working on some creative corner, or if they're working on some kind of creative part of themselves and releasing that. They seem to have more serenity and peace in their life, you know. And you look around at the people that do that, and again, you know, just kind of, you know, goes back to that old thing. I like, you know, I'm bored.
No, you're not. You're just boring.
Well, they don't want to hear that.
No, they don't. But if I'm bored, it's up to me to be doing something. And again, I don't know how I don't know, so many things that fell in my lap that at times it don't feel fair at some level, So I don't know how I like to tell you to create something creative, But I believe everybody has that in them. I believe there's a piece of that. There's something in you that wants to do that creative thing. And you just got to figure out, so maybe you're going to have to try 50,000 things before you figure out which one of them you like. Whether if it's, needlepoint, woodworking, painting, poetry. It runs a gamut, right? I mean, there's no limit to how many things you can be doing. It's just, you gotta stab in and ask for some help and find somebody that's doing it and see if you try it out.
And what's that called from? First off, that's not that you don't hear a lot about that. You hear a lot about what the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. The three. But that's another. What would that be? Fall under? Would that fall under
fourth dimension?
Spiritual? Well, yeah,
Right.
That would be like the fourth there, but that's also with the Finding Joe thing. That's your
Bliss.
So I'm not sure which one that falls under, but that's a great thing to work on. I mean,
maybe it is. It does kind of fall under your Finding Your Bliss. That same logic, and that's part of that Joseph Campbell stuff is. To find that thing that just really turns you on where you disappear. Because when I sit out here and fool around with this wood, man, and I can go to, it's not work. I would tell you the other night, for a few nights in a row, I worked at 2:30 in the morning.
No, you did.
But it really wasn't work,
Right. Find something you love to do.
I had to actually tell myself,
work a day
Dan, it's time to go in. Quit for the night. Because one more, I'll get this other board cut, get this fit together.
That was like Friday night when we stayed up talking like little kids, till like 2:30 or whatever it was. I didn't want to go to bed, but I knew we needed to go to bed.
I needed to go to bed, or I'm gonna be shot.
Yeah, be shot tomorrow. A lot of good energy up there, man.
So the grandfathers, and I don't know, I do feel a little bit like keeping it a secret, but I already knew what I was going to do with them. There's a bunch of hickory bark piled up over there by the fire. It's sitting over there. We really didn't do anything with it. It all fell off of obviously a hickory tree that I drug in that the bark was falling off of. So when I split the wood up, the bark fell off, and which is just fine as far as it's really actually really good for firewood because it helps dry the wood quicker and but it's all piled up there and it gets wet. But so during the hours I was cleaning up, I took a piece of that and set it over by the fire and dried it really good, and so that made a nest or a tray for those grandfathers, and then I gently tucked them up underneath of the cabin.
Awesome.
So there's a tray of them down there. I didn't want to just chuck them, or even just lay them, really. So I put them all together, and I felt a little funny about this, but I didn't because I felt led to do that. And my talisman.
Oh, nice.
With it.
That's cool. That's gonna blow that place up. You know that, right? It's gonna be. People are gonna feel that.
I didn't know where I was going to put it someplace in the vicinity. I was going to do something like that and nest them and put them someplace safe. There's a couple of little places around close by that would be kind of sheltered. So yeah.
What are you gonna do next year? You gonna make a lottery?
And I don't make this stuff up all the time.
You make a lottery for it.
I do have some notes on some things I'm going to do to continue this trend of the power that we're creating during it, and I know what worked. And I also saw some things that were missing that I can add to it to make it work better. I already have those things come to me while we were doing, and I needed to make a note of those because if I didn't make a note of them, but I don't overplan this.
Put the s'mores on the plus side.
S'mores.
Yeah, that's a funny thing because maybe and I'll tell you, here's some ideas. One thing I'm going to do next year, and I'm going to say, gate closes at 6 p.m. and it opens at noon on Sunday, and there's your window. And if you can't commit to the entire weekend,
I like that idea.
Me
It's
too.
all it's it's my old thing. You're gonna push all your chips to the middle of the table.
Yep.
We had that little talk last night. Was we was talking. And one of the metaphors I thought of last night was that if we're sitting around here playing poker, and it's $10 ante, you don't get to ante up 5.
Nope, you got 10.
Yep.
Rest of us are anteing up 10. You ante up 10, or you sit this hand out.
I like that idea.
That's one of the things, and I really feel compelled that I need to limit the number of people, and the only way I know how to do that is by at some level invite only. I don't know about how to do that, and I don't there's a whole nother end of me that would have 150 people down there if I could, and not exclude anybody. So I don't know where I'm gonna go with that, but that 15 to 20 kind of number is I'm sold on the fact that's the right capacity from a standpoint of the grounds. The outhouse,
Right.
the meetings and the intimacy that can happen, because I think if it gets much bigger than that, you lose the intimacy and the connection. I think it begins to be like a too long extension cord.
I think you're exactly
Extension
right.
cord can only be so long and still carry the amps.
Yeah.
Oh, so much juice can fit through there.
The
And those conversations,
the meditation we did when we walked through the woods, I was so torn on that because of the way the roads were, because it was really wet. It rained so much. I was like, well, what if? A bunch of what ifs. I'd like, just do it, And the rain held off the whole time.
Yeah.
I slipped a couple times. I was afraid I was going to laugh or somebody was going to laugh.
Flip-flops.
Yeah.
You needed some shoes.
Yeah, I thought about that afterward. I was like, man, it just all these things, but it worked out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna need to make an equipment list and pass it out too.
Yeah,
There's
right.
sturdy shoes.
Yeah,
Don't forget the extra pair of underwear. Bring your toothbrush, kids.
Yeah, I mean, I had my hiking boots, and I didn't wear them, and I was like,
So I learned right after the first spurt that I had to wear sturdy boots down there, man.
Right.
I had to have myself supported in a way that's like up and above. And those one pair of boots I got are the best pair I got, man. I could hike anywhere in those things. And I learned that I survived that weekend a lot better. And because I'm tempted to go in and put some tennis shoes on or wear a pair of sandals or something like that. But that place is no place for like open-toed shoes.
No.
It really isn't. You could actually get hurt.
yep,
And speaking from experience, Fargo's no fun to get hurt at.
right.
It's a long ways from any place, and it destroys the cool energy the minute you got to go to the hospital.
Yeah, it was cool that when we got back there and we all put our character defects in the fire. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but it started raining some right when we put our stuff in the fire, and then when we all sat, where everybody got seated, it let up until the last share, and that was when everybody was just sat there, which was really cool too.
I've had a number of fist steps down there that it was raining too. It's an interesting thing that it's like a
Cleansing.
washing away,
Yeah.
cleansing kind
Yep.
of thing. Yeah, one specific one, it was pouring down so loud that we were having trouble hearing each other in the cabin.
Yeah,
And we didn't even really notice, but it was that kind of ending sigh, and the work was over, and we both just realized that it was all of a sudden quiet.
that's
With
cool.
it being my first, I don't know how you've been in past ones, but you as the host have a lot of directing and facilitating duties. And you did share about this down there, that you were handing things off, be it the cooking, him leading the Sunday meeting, and knowing you in that director role, seeing you hand stuff off allowed you to be present. And I really liked that. 'Cause
I felt more present this time around because of that.
I've put you on a sort of a pedestal.
Careful.
And to see you step down with us and just get down there and reel, because you did, it really touched my.
Thank you.
I'm getting chills.
Well, thank you.
I said it on a phone call. You're just as human as the rest of us.
Yes, I am.
Yep,
I never think of myself that other way, though, man. I just don't.
I don't either.
There was one time, like, you were, I guess, needing some help with some, I think it was a coffee thing, and we had a laugh, like, oh, he must have really needed it,
Yeah.
asking for help.
Yeah, he started kind of quicking under his breath a little bit.
some help?
Can I get some help over here?
I think there was a round of applause.
There was, yeah. we clapped. It was like, that's growth. That was awesome.
And I could tell a definite more relaxing vibe from you this year than there was from last.
There's too many people there last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and it was really neat to have all those people down there and to do that side of it. So,
And we were wondering what the hell we were going to do this year because we had so many. We're like, what are we going to do this year? And then
and you'd said that a couple times about it getting bigger, you know. And that whole time I was thinking, you know, I don't know that I needed any, you know, I don't know what to do to make it any bigger, and I don't, you know. And again,
It's funny you were saying that.
it gets to be, you know, I don't have facilities to cook for a whole lot more, you know. That was really pressing the limits on that side of things. And you know, the outhouse, the bathroom facility issue, you know, and people say, well, you just go poop in the woods, but I didn't see anybody walk off and poop in the woods. Maybe they did. I keep on hearing that talked about, but and then, I think there's some people that like withhold all weekend.
I've got a 3-day pre-spurt cheese, extra cheese everywhere cheese ritual.
So you don't have to use the outhouse?
Exactly, man.
Really? So it's that much of a deterrent to use the outhouse?
I didn't think
it
it's bad
shouldn't
at
be
all.
usually, but I mean, yeah. It's that started last year. It worked out for me last year, so yeah.
But you're coming into it because you don't even know how good my outhouse is or ain't. You ain't even going to even try it.
No, I haven't been within a 10 foot radius.
Oh,
of it,
see,
no.
that's just like saying, do you like liver? No, I hate liver. Have you ever tried it? Nope.
See Shane going.
I have a
I
very
go in all
nice
the time.
bathroom.
I'm very comfortable there.
It's a top-notch outhouse.
Smells like money to me.
I'm sure it is, man.
It really is. It was
Got
nice.
lights and heat and everything, man. We didn't need the heat this weekend, but then you're down there in deer season, you enjoy that heat and that
I'm sure.
outhouse.
Yeah.
And I lay the lime to it in the weeks coming up too. I've learned that. I pre-treat it.
Get it ready to go.
Beforehand. Yeah, so that is funny. So you just got an issue with like porta potties and outhouses and all that kind of it.
Not completely, but yeah, pooping in public a little bit. Yeah,
Public?
I guess. Yeah, public.
We were the furthest thing from in public.
He means not in his own house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you poop at work?
Yeah, I got. I'm the only one in there.
Yeah, he's the only one in the whole building.
I got
Yeah.
like 3 floors, and I got 18 bathrooms. So yeah, if you can find me in there, locked doors.
I know a lot of people like that. They won't go
Yeah, me too.
anywhere but their house. But
Yeah, so I told you, you know, somebody dropped a deuce in my damn indoor toilet in one of the spurts. I think it was the last one, you know, and I even said, you know, don't use that toilet inside, you know. I think I had a do not use sign on the toilet seat.
somebody
last
had
year,
to go.
and somebody used it anyway.
What do you do with that? You just
I fish it out there with those same things we used to marshmallows on.
Tongs. Oh, that's nice.
nice. I hope it wasn't mine.
It's a composting toilet, so it's got like dirt and enzymes and stuff in it, and you put a little peat moss, peat dirt in it, and it's got a raker, a stir up thing that stirs it up. So you got this raker in the front, and then every once in a while, it just basically is dirt by the time you're done.
Right.
And you take the tray of dirt out, dump it out, and you put a new starter kit in it. And
Gotcha.
use it again. They use it in all like remote parks. That's the thing they have like out. And you go. You know, I don't know, out in Yellowstone and places where they don't have like plumbing piped up to the
Right. You're not running water off of Old Faithful.
Yeah, they don't want to also put like septics and stuff in it, you know, that would seep into the ground. They use these things. They're fairly popular, and I mean, it does carry a little smell more than I would like. And there's a kit that you can put on if you have electric. There's a fan in the exhaust pipe that helps with that. And you can actually get like a little battery operated ones too that put a fan in it that will help ventilate it. So once in a while, and it's been a while because we mainly got it because when I used to like girls, when I was married and kids and we go down there as couples and things like that, and the girls would have a bathroom to use because they weren't too comfortable with the outhouse. Plus, it was really good for the kids, you know, when my kids were little and that kind of stuff. But I've weaned them off of the indoor toilet, and they go out in the outhouse now.
Yeah.
So it's sitting in there pretty much unused, you know.
This podcast went to shit.
Yeah, it did totally. Sorry,
Hey, that's the facts of the first spurt.
I knew that was coming when I said that. I was like, oh man, we're getting into something. It's just, we're gonna be talking about shit.
Literally.
Yeah.
So you know, I always hesitate whether I'll say that or not. You know, but the interesting thing is that you know this, and we kicked this around a little bit. You know, the bonds that happen as a result of that. You know, and there's a little funny energy going on, but I think because it was invite only. We didn't. I wanted to share about it last night in the meeting, but then again didn't, because I feel like it was like banging a drum that not everybody was invited to or whatever, I'll just speak my truth. One of the things, if I heard you talking about social distancing and I could tell that was a really important thing to you, I figured you probably wasn't going to come, and I left you off the list.
Yep.
Take it off your chest. Really
If you would like, some people we know in our circles that have some immunity compromised and things like that, and we speak pretty freely amongst ourselves. So when I know that about you, and to some extent, I left the older dudes out.
Yeah.
Not to some extent, to the extent. When there was like an age thing, I said, because I had to draw. I felt, as I said, I was going to have this thing this year if I was the only guy sitting around the campfire, and I knew there would be at least 2 or 3, like Shane, that would be there with me. Of course, we were there a month before, right? I mean, acting normal,
hunting, having a good time.
Yeah, sitting right next to each other and hugging and whatever,
I did my 5th step a month before and chopped wood thereabouts too.
Yeah. So I was going to be there one way or the other. I knew there would be some people that would come with me, but I also felt somewhat compelled to keep it down a little bit for these reasons. Right. And I also knew when I threw out that invite that there would be a huge chunk of people who wouldn't come because of it. No, I throwed out the invite to them anyway. And some of them went all the way to the end, without making a decision.
Yeah.
When it came RSVP time.
Yeah,
I had to knock on the door and go,
are you coming or not?
Are you or not?
Some had asked me why they didn't get an invite, and I told them because you're not a home group member anymore. So that was part of it too. If you're not,
that was part of it.
If you're not a home group member, you're not participating with us.
Yep. Yeah. There's been a split in our home group, and some people went a different direction. And that's not my direction. So some of those people who have been in years past fall under that.
I have a quote here on my phone from this weekend, and I think it encompasses that thought. It's every subtraction is half a plus. And
I love that one.
There was, in regards to the division, it bothered me.
Yeah. Every minus is half a plus, waiting on a stroke of vertical awareness. That's the way it comes out.
Yeah,
I loved it. That was one of those little pocket conversations. Was with you just about that very subject.
I promise you, I have listened to Finding Joe 100 times in the past month or so. And a lot of it was preparation because that comes out of there.
Really?
Yeah.
I bought that DVD. If anybody wants to borrow it, hit me up.
And it's free on YouTube.
Yes.
And it's kid friendly too, man.
It's great, man.
I mean, you could sit down with your kids and watch that movie, and they would get something out of it.
Nice.
Gunshots all the way through, man.
Of the same.
I started watching it the other night, but my wife wanted to watch something else, and I was just watching it while she was trying to find something. You know what I mean? I was getting into it. Yeah.
You said that should be mandatory. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it. You shared it on the chat.
Yep. Well, I shared the link, and I have it. I actually downloaded it because I pay for YouTube, so I can download YouTube stuff off of there and actually have it on my phone, so I can use it while I'm like down there.
That's cool.
So that's what I did. That's what I played, that opening scene or whatever, that opening deal about the golden Buddha on it. So I fished through it, and and this is the way it worked out, and just like I fall deeper and deeper into this reliance on whatever this power of the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is doing, that it did what it was supposed to do, and I think the proof is in the pudding, right?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
The same way that when we begin this, before we started this podcast, I prayed that we say what we needed to say, and if that's some poop jokes, well, then that was what's supposed to be here, And I really do. I know I'm saying that in tongue in cheek in some level, but I have to believe that when I ask for my higher power's help, and then I believe that I get it. Mm-hmm. And that's some more of that, maybe that's just speaking shit into existence too, I don't know. Maybe prayer is just speaking shit into existence. Mm-hmm. I don't know. what I do know, you said something earlier. Maybe they used to always tell me whenever we stumble around to keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting.
Uh-huh.
Well, I find that's appropriate today too. I keep doing what I'm doing, and I keep getting what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
And so I keep asking for this, and I don't overplan SPURT. I allow it to happen and allow it to develop, and listen to those nudges like you were talking about. The nudge from above or whatever you want to,
Your gut,
and go with it and trust it, and one thing I'm getting better at is standing in my integrity and my authenticity. Some folks didn't get invited. They just didn't. There's a thing in me wants to apologize, but
It happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Exactly. The people that need to be there were there.
and it was a tight group.
Oh yeah.
That's what I saw. Every time somebody pulled up, man, and every single person I saw in the eyes of that person, like, I don't know, maybe like when you're getting ready to like, oh man, I would like to, I can't come up with something that would like be that, but like when you're, maybe when the Super Bowl teams are showing up on the field and the players are looking at each other and they're nodding at one another like, all right,
we did it, we're here.
We're going to do this.
Uh-huh.
We're getting ready. Yeah, man, we're getting ready to do this. You know, that kind of energy was, everybody was like, yeah, all right, let's go. Let's get on the ride.
Yeah.
Buckle up. And that just tickled, like I said, from the beginning to the end of the whole event. I was just on fire and continue to kind of relive it, you know. And then I get inundated with the texts and the phone calls and stuff in the following days of people appreciative of the event and pouring juice on me. And yeah, I can't wait till the next one either. But I think once a year is right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For this, you know, I'm not saying we can't do other things or somebody else, you know. I'm more than happy to join in on something else, you know, that kind of thing. But I think for this thing, I think once a year is right. I think it.
I do too.
I think it. You know, when I was doing it twice a year, it lost some of its luster, so to speak. It become so. Yeah, it was a blast.
Looking forward to next May.
Me too.
Absolutely.
So it feels like we're running out of gas. You want to do a closing round?
Yeah, there's a bear and a rabbit taking a shit in the woods. And the bear looked down at the rabbit and he said, "Man, you have trouble with shit sticking to your fur?" The rabbit looked up and said, "No." So the bear wiped his ass with a rabbit. Now that, my friends, is a shit joke.
Love it.
Good work.
Sorry, thank you, Eddie Murphy. That was from Raw or Delirious, one of those long
Raw.
time ago.
Yeah.
You heard that one?
Oh yeah, I love
I've
that.
heard
I used to watch that all the time.
Sorry, I was stuck in my head when you were talking about shit jokes.
And there's a bear in the room, so yeah.
yeah, we got Yogi over here.
I always joke about giving my rabbit a bath. You ever give a rabbit a bath?
None. Don't they have dirt baths?
Huh?
Don't they have dirt baths?
Man, giving a rabbit
That's
a
a
bath
chinchilla.
is a fucking
Oh,
bitch,
yeah.
man, giving a rabbit a bath. You know what the hardest part is?
What?
Getting the hair off your tongue.
I like it.
Closing.
Why are you telling that?
And I could actually pull that shit off because people know I really do have a rabbit.
Right, yeah, I was
They
thinking,
walk
okay,
right down the path with me.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, what's he do? I want to know.
I was like, I forgot about his rabbit. Forgot about that. All right.
So closing would be for me is, and I'm truly grateful for you being in my life, and for you putting these things on and doing all the work you do, because it's a lot of fucking work, man, and it's got to be stressful. Even though you look like you're not stressed, I know it's got to be a lot of stress on you. And watching you grow this weekend as well in that part of it and letting other people help, that was awesome to watch you grow. That's the most growth I've seen in you personally at one time, you know, which was really cool to watch you grow.
Well, cool, man.
So
Thank you.
I was glad to be a part of that and be there to witness it. And the growth that I experienced from this weekend was amazing too. And like I said, I've never went to there and said after that weekend, like, I wish I wouldn't have went. So I'm hopefully
that was a wasted weekend.
Yeah,
Can I get my money back?
So I hope to get another invite next year. And if it ever comes to where there's too many people, I would step down, but I'd hate to do it. You know what I mean? Just so somebody else can come in, because it is an experience, and I want to be at every one of them, but I don't want to be selfish as well. So I thank you for everything. Love you, bro.
Love you, man. Thank you for that blessing. I feel the same way. This is not my concluder. But I do appreciate you coming in there and fulfilling the role that you. I think you actually asked me if you could run a meditation meeting a couple of years ago. I don't remember how it evolved again. If I'd known I was me tell a story, I kept better track. But now I lean on you for it to some extent, and ask you to do that, and that's what I told my sponsor when I got back was that I said, and I may even have posted this, but we made a powerful trio of facilitators.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think that's part of why the energy was there, I mean, it was, as I stood there and thought, I was like, because you got to have some people leading the thing, right? Mm-hmm. You just have to. And you also have some people willing to follow, right?
Right.
And it was a perfect mix of that, and the three of us bring completely different energy, I think, although somewhat all in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It worked.
But not on the same path, not on the same tracks.
Right.
They're all.
There was a harmony. Three different voices in harmony.
Right. Yeah, there was.
Cheers.
That's what it was. It's like a harmony trio of facilitators that just worked well this weekend. So thanks for being one of those.
Oh, no problem. I never even thought about that until you just said that. I didn't, because I didn't feel like a leader. You know what I'm saying? That's the cool part about that. I felt just one of y'all. I was just being part of it, which was another cool part about the whole weekend, is just feeling connected and feeling just one and all equal. Like I said, I forgot what I said. Give me a second. I said something about nobody's above, nobody's below. We're all equal here today.
Yeah.
That was it.
That eye to eye on Saturday night showed how equal we all were. We were all on the same. I mean, literally at the same
eye level,
and we were just even.
Mm-hmm.
Got a concluder?
Who mentioned that?
What's that?
The eye level thing, was it you on Saturday? Yeah, it was you on Saturday night.
Was it?
Just here. He said that that was your moment.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That when we gathered up at the end of that. The other thing, somebody has to blow a whistle on those kind of things too, because we can sit around and bleed those things down. It's kind of like a men's energy, how we have them. The way I'm taught is you get in, you get out.
Yeah.
You go dump that bucket of juice on them and you leave.
Yep.
You don't hang around, because if I hang around with you the rest of the day, it dissipates the magic of what I just did.
Yep.
And the same kind of thing.
Kinda like
we
to
have
drop
that
the
kind
mic.
of powerful meeting, and we continue to have a last thought for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
It just dissipates that magic energy that's going on there. And
You want to keep it. You want to keep
I
it
want
going.
to keep it, but I know that you got to slam
loses
the
its
door on it,
luster.
man, because otherwise you do. You
Hit
lose
them
it.
with that good joke and then leave them laughing.
Yeah.
They want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concluder for me, overwhelming sense of gratitude. I didn't show up last year, and you didn't shun me from it this year. A lot's happened over that year, and you've helped me through a hell of a lot. And just that you didn't hold a grudge, you didn't hold it against me, and you welcomed me in and brought me in. Overwhelming sense of gratitude.
Well, you're welcome.
Cheers.
I wouldn't have you said, hold a grudge. I was like, why would I?
Well, at the time, I run SPURT for everybody else last year because I didn't go. That's how.
Oh yeah, you're so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, you were.
Sorry. Yeah, I am. I want people to come because I know what happens when we go, and I know the bonds that get built between us when we do these things like this. And it doesn't really matter. It can be a smaller thing, like a few people going and doing something together, or it can be these larger things. I know that when we do these larger things like this, that the bonds are created that, as we said the other day, that have somewhat been accused of us being like a cliquish group. It's misunderstood. It's not a cliquish thing. It's not in order to keep somebody else out, as one of our brothers mentioned. But there's just a cement that happens inside and between us when we do these kind of things, and we work together and we grow together, that gets misunderstood and gets labeled as that, like that, they're on the outside and can't come in. I want people, if you listen to this podcast at all, so like Dogman and I are both Mankind guys, and in Mankind they help you to develop a mission, and you actually sit down and make work at that. You don't just like sit down and go, okay, here's my mission. We do some work and some writing and some stuff, and they ask leading questions similar to our exercise on Sunday that you don't know why you're writing this yet, and then that developed into a mission. And Dogman shared his mission with me, and I knew what it was, and I don't want to repeat it here because it's not. I actually have it in my phone in a text probably, or I know I do. But my mission and his mission are parallel. I mean, they're just worded differently. And my mission is to create a world of healing recovery towards by guiding people towards their true selves. And his was almost the exact same thing, and we both kind of like virtually high-fived on mission accomplished. Because that is what, when you one of the precepts behind this is to develop that mission and then do things and take action, like we said earlier, take some action and say, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and take action towards in the direction of your mission. Now, the thing is these missions are never complete, right? They're never complete. But stages of them can kind of be completed, and that's what fulfills a man in my mind, and then what I've been taught through this is that when I'm taking steps towards a mission in my life, because I believe that as men we need a mission in our lives, because otherwise you're just floundering. My mission to take care of my family. Well, that's one of them real vague. How exactly are you going to do that? So that we get kind of a little more focused on what our mission is, and then start setting our sails in that direction. That fulfills us, fulfills my soul. I'll keep it I statements. For me, it fulfills me, and then creates that momentum building thing where I want to do it again. Just like that Golden Buddha story about once you expose a little of your gold, all you want to do is keep chipping the rest of it away, all the rest of the mud away, because it's so fucking fun. Right? I landed with me bigger than anything, and I'm experiencing that in my life. And this retreat and this podcast are two ways I get to do that. I get handed, again, I get handed these things in my life, and as a result of working this program, that is allowing me to spend my life doing the things that mean the most to me. The old thing of find something you love to do and make a living doing it, right? And I'm getting to do that, man. And the flip side of it is, man, I've landed in this role somehow or another where I'm getting to do all this stuff. I'm getting to do it. Better than that, I got like great men to do it with, right? How cool is that? That's what I mean. When we circled up around there on Saturday night, and I look into the eyes of these guys, and I think again, come on, I have some outlines and things I'm going to speak of while I'm down there, but a lot of it's ad lib off those things. And the eye gazing thing was not on my list. Really? It was never even on my fucking radar.
That's cool.
Wow. It happened that morning.
I'm glad it did.
And I looked around and told all you guys that I love you. And it landed on me but even better than that, and it is better than that. It's good that I love you, but even better than that, really, is that I know for a fact that all you guys love me.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, isn't that another core thing? Like I say, don't leave me standing on the side of the kickball field. Right? Yeah. That's a metaphor for, we all want to be loved. We all want to be appreciated and want to be, lifted up by our brothers and we are getting to realize that in a really powerful way, in a real, authentic way in our lives. We're blessed beyond understanding because we can get to do that.
For sure.
That's beautiful. My concluder.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Good job.
So, thank you, gentlemen, for doing this. I meant to do it during the retreat, but there was just too much juice going on to be bothered by fooling around with the silly little podcast. And plus, it makes it, again, it's probably for a reason it allowed us to come around here and juice about it a couple of days later, right?
Yeah. I was excited about coming tonight. I'm juiced to the gills right now.
Yeah, I got home and I was like, shit, I didn't record anything. We'll just do it again.
Exactly
Who wants to come over and play with me?
Yeah.
We'll close her out. If you can't tell this, that I mean it when I say this, that if you're not having a blast in your recovery, it's your own damn fault, because we are.
Yeah.
And it is available to you. And just thank everybody. The guys here at this table, thank you all for allowing us to participate in our recovery in this manner tonight. Peace out.
Peace out.
Always tried to be just who they wanted. Always tried to do everything they said. Only did the things they would approve of. Lock away all your dreams inside your head. Year after year you try to be a good girl. They never failed to point out when you were bad. Stuck to the program like a robot. Became a trophy for mom and dad. But inside you want more. Everything you've been waiting for. Looking for that open door. So every day when you're praying and your heart just keeps saying, let go and fly. Let go and fly. Spread your wings to the sky. Let go and fly. Ever since you was a little boy, they told you, suck it up and be a man. It's time